Hi, this is Pattison in California.
And this is Jacqui Harper in Yorkshire in the UK.
Jacqui, good to see you.
Great to see you again. Now, what are we talking about today?
In our series of New Life Audits, today is a space and time creative audit. And the big piece of this is going to be transforming your life creatively. So this is a part of our series that is called Two Coaches, Two Continents,
One New Life Audit with Pat and Jacqui.
Oh,
it sounds great, Pat. I love the idea of a new audit. Before we get going, though, I have a gift for you? Yeah.
Come on. Is this going to happen every time you give me a gift?
I think so. I quite like giving gifts to you anyway.
I like that.
So, can you see this gift?
Oh my gosh! Oh, that is gorgeous.
This is a scarf.
Gorgeous. Now, Leeds. That's a rock group, right?
No, Leeds United.
I
need respect now. I need respect. Leeds United is the biggest football club in Yorkshire. They are fabulous, and we are really excited because if they win the next few matches, they go up to the top league in the UK. So every Leeds fan is waiting with bated breath for that success.
That's exciting. Well, I always have something for you.
Oh, yes. What have you got for me?
So this is the classic Endless Summer Bruce Brown film from the 60s that inspired many of us to become surfers, including me. And it's just part, my sport to your sport. So here you go. It's on its way. It's all right.
So, Pat, before we get going and actually work out how to do the creative time and space audit, I just want to say that we are going to have, for listeners to our podcast, a real treat. We're going to have a copy of a chapter of your book, which describes this particular topic, the creative time and space audit, which is fantastic. So we'll tell everyone at the end of the podcast how they can get that, and also the slide deck.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so what is a creative time and space audit?
So part of my book, Creative U-Turn, is just a lot of people are maybe in their second act, and they may have a creative dream that just has gone unfulfilled. And so they want to come up with something maybe a little more fulfilling. It doesn't have to be pure art creativity. My background is at the Disney Studios, where I was the head of creative services, also at Disneyland. So I've managed artists. And so part of what we're going to be talking about today is not putting that on hold, not postponing that dream, but starting that dream right now, today, right around you. And part of my inspiration has always been one of our presidents, Theodore Roosevelt, had one of my all-time favorite quotes. Put it up. And here's Teddy. This is part of my creative space. We always have things that inspire us in our creative space. And his quote is simply, "Do what you can with what you've got where you are." And what that tells me is that we create our space, we create prioritizing our time right now, today.
In terms of who inspired you apart from Teddy, one of your work colleagues inspired you as well.
So Stan Freese. And Stan Freese was a talent booking director at Disneyland for 42 years. And he was responsible for all the talent that would come to Disneyland. Everybody's probably been to a Disney park. I worked on Paris Disneyland over there in Europe. Stan, literally his entire house is a miniature Disneyland. It starts with a giant pepper tree out in his front yard. He's a tuba player, and that pepper tree is filled with about 12 tubas, and we'll show a picture hanging out of the pepper tree. It's become so famous, it's on some tours of people coming over here to the States. And so he has that. You go into his house, he has a lot of memorabilia. You go into his music room, which I'll show you, and it is like the Pirates of the Caribbean. It's all skeletons and whatnot playing instruments. And what I've learned from Stan, and what I hope to pass on to people that are wanting to make this creative U-turn is that a lot of us devote time and space to various elements of our lives. Think about your car. You know, how much space and time and money do you put around your car? Think about your kids. How much time, space, and money do you put around your kids? Maybe you're a gourmet cook. How much time, space, and money do you put around cooking? Maybe you're a sports fan. You have a TV room. It's all out there. What we're going to talk about is claiming that space for your new creative dream. And Stan's just really the ultimate version of that. He's a guy that has created a space that I think has to have three elements, and the three elements that Stan embodies and I do in my own creative space is it inspiring? Is it a designated area? And does it show commitment? So those are the three things we're going to talk about designing for each of you.
Yeah, I mean, Stan's space is wonderful. I mean, the picture, we can see that lovely tree, but obviously it's a big space. But what about those of us that live in smaller places? Can we still achieve that?
Yes. So, and I'm going to, in my chapter that I'm going to give out, I call this the 6x6 solution, or for you, it's the 2 meter by 2 meter solution. And it's so taking an area that is roughly 6 feet by 6 feet and saying, okay, this is going to be the minimum that I achieve. And I have a worksheet. Now this is part of my area I mean, I do this for a living, so you know, it's out there. It's kind of like an office. But even if you don't have an office like you do, Jacqui, you're just going to take really, it's like the size of a kitchen table, and you're going to say, here's this area, this space that I'm going to move all the other junk out of and designate as my creative area. And part of the process isn't just the fact that you're going to have a place to work, that you can leave things up like I have right now. I'm working on this sculpture of Jack Nicholson.
Wow.
Some people say it looks like Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm not sure, but this is something that I'm working on that I don't put away. It's out, and I get to look at it and remind myself that I'm doing something creatively. And so this part of claiming this space is letting your family know, letting your friends know that this is what you're about right now at your stage in life.
And so once you've done that and other people know that are in your life, what's the value of drawing the space? How does that work?
So I think people just need a specific design that they can get into, and we'll show them how to do that. I mean, it's pretty basic. Some people have these apps on their phones. They're designing spaces and rooms and being kind of a Martha Stewart thing. Here's your chance to do it in person. And you're just going to create an area that has, you know, all the elements you need to either do your writing, your sculpting, your painting, or, you know, creativity is entrepreneurial, to design your new business, your new yoga studio, whatever it is that's your new creative next step.
Yeah, I just love this idea of creating space for something that brings you joy. I mean, isn't that a wonderful concept?
Yeah, you have things, I'm sure, around your office that remind you of your career, you know, and you just want to sit down. It's almost a sacred thing, you know. You want to sit down in your creative space, kind of take a deep breath and go, okay, this is what I'm doing now, which leads me right into the time element. You know, there are things I've done all my life that are creative. Some people have never been able to do that. They've never had that opportunity. They want to, but they go, it's just too late. I can't. There's no way I'm going to learn an instrument or sculpt or paint or write or any of these things. Forget it. It's over. It's too late. And I always tell them the story of being at the Prairie Home Companion radio show. That's a show over here in the States. And Garrison Keillor was the host, and the actor Martin Sheen was on. And Garrison Keillor said, so Martin, what have you been up to? And at the time, Martin Sheen was 66. And he says, well, I'm going to college. And Garrison was like, you're going to college? How old are you? 66. But I never got a chance to go to college. I'm just a high school graduate. I want to finish that degree. And Garrison Keillor went, well, you're going to be 70 by the time you graduate. And and Martin Sheen said, I'm going to be 70 anyway.
Isn't that a wonderful attitude? I mean, it's attitude, isn't it?
Yeah. And so my phrase around that is, you're not behind schedule. This is the new schedule. So in terms of the time element of this, it's pretty straightforward. We book time with ourselves to do this creative U-turn. And in the worksheet and in the chapter I'll give people, there's two very simple things that you do. One is just to figure out when you're the most productive. Is it the morning or the evening? Okay. Number two is, what's the minimum time? Some people are going to a job. Some people are retired, semi-retired. Maybe they have other things. This is this montage career concept that's in the book that I'll talk about in another audit. But, what is the amount of time you can devote? Is it an hour? Is it 2 hours? Very similar to maybe an exercise routine. And then the most important element of this, Jacqui, is to share that commitment with a creativity, I call them a creativity accountability buddy. So somebody that you've talked to, and I'll give out my phone number, it can be me. No, I'm kidding. Somebody that you can, friend, family member that you say, I am devoting the next year, 2 years, whatever it is, to write a screenplay, to write a book, to write a novel, to sculpt, to start my yoga studio. And then give them the specifics. And as we know as coaches, we met at the Hudson Institute up in Santa Barbara, that just the embedding of a commitment goes a long way to getting to that goal you're trying to achieve. So that's the time element. So you create the space in your 6x6 area, but just be committed to that space, and then begin to start to prioritize that time.
So it's the space first and then the time. And things like Pinterest, I mean, there are probably lots of other apps, are brilliant for actually reimagining what your space could look like.
Very much so. And for me, when I kind of made a new commitment to coaching and some other projects that I like, I do a TV segment over here in the States that's called The Best of California. So I have California stuff all around me, and I have books about California, and I have things that are just readily accessible. It doesn't all go into a drawer and get tucked away, So it's important to have that out and live in it. Go to that spot and live in it, and not be frustrated that, oh gee, when am I going to get this done?
Well, you're inspiring me like crazy. So here's what I've got so far. So my office is, I spend a lot of time here. I watch Netflix here, as well as do lots of webinars and work here. And the bookshelf I'm looking at the moment has got lots of files, all higgledy-piggledy. There's no inspiration there. There's no creativity coming. So I'm going to clear these shelves.
Great.
And I'm got beautiful objects, things that really inspire me, vases, figurines. And I think I need audio, a bit like, Stan has all these musical things. So I don't know, like chimes or something. I might get some chimes, go to a...
You're on the right track. I mean, and if I can make a suggestion, if there's an inspirational quote that you just need to look at, I mean, I think inspiration is like dominoes. It's like something triggers an event that triggers a thought that triggers a feeling. Okay, so if it's a childhood, I mean, I've done a lot of toys over the course of my career around Hollywood properties. People come into my space and they go, what, are you still a kid? And I go, no, those are all projects I've worked on, and they bring me joy. This is kind of the reverse of the decluttering. Let's just bring the joy clutter back into your life. but be careful, not too much.
Not too much. Yeah.
So that's part of the thing. And I think the other piece, Jacqui, is that as coaches, I think one of the things I always say is the main thing I do for my clients is to establish focus and to prioritize. So in terms of these things and the time element, that's probably the biggest takeaway is to focus on this creative U-turn and to prioritize the elements it takes to get there.
This is fantastic advice. It's great information, Pat. Yeah, it's so
Good.
exciting to get us to just kind of create our joy and create somewhere that brings us happiness, that will help us reinvent ourselves. I find this concept really, really exciting. So thank you for this information.
You bet. And we'll show our information at the end here.
Yeah, absolutely. So for you, this has come from your book, which will hopefully be out later this year. We're looking forward to that.
That's right. It's on track.
Yeah. So people can get the slides that we're showing, but they can also get the chapter on creating time and space audit. So where can we get that?
Pattison.net. We'll show it up here as well. And then patremade@gmail.com is the email address. How about you?
Me? Well, my book is Executive Presentations, and people can reach me at Jacqui at execpresentations.com or visit the website execpresentations.com.
Great.
So that's about it for this episode, Pat.
That was a fun one, and I love my scarf. And we're doing 10 of these, and what we are saying is it's 2 coaches, 2 continents,
and 1 new life audit with Pat and Jacqui.
That's great. Talk soon.